And that was Take On Me by Aha. This is DJ Eric, and once again we have come to the time of the week that is one of my favorite times, Broadway Friday. And we are finishing up our month of Sondheim in September, with the first Sondheim show that I ever saw on stage and on film form, and that is Sweeny Todd. And Sweeny Todd is an amazing show. It is a show about a purportedly true event. The veracity of this is kind of questionable at best, but there were it's not based off of the Jack the Ripper killings. There were supposedly a bunch of murders around that time, or around the late 1800s, which, oddly enough, it is Jack the Ripper time period, but in this particular area of London where the allegations were that people were being killed and put into pies and everything. I did not do any research into this because I'm not really that much caring about the history of the thing that it's based off of. I'm caring about the show, and the show is amazing. The way that the music blends, the way that all of Sondheim's orchestrations in his book or his lyrics come together into this incredible show, this incredible symphony, this incredible thing that he has created that is inspiring and enduring and tells the tale of this man seeking revenge for a slight against him and being completely consumed by it. Now, the unfortunate thing is that I thought that we had, when I got a bunch of the shows that I put together for this show last year, I thought that I had grabbed the Broadway version of this, and I had, but I unfortunately didn't bring it here and didn't get it entered into the system. So what we have instead is the film version that was made in 2013, I believe, starring Johnny Depp, Helena Bonham Carter, and Alan Rickman. And it's a good show. I mean, I'm not going to deny that it isn't a good show. Personally, I feel that, Johnny Depp does a different version of Sweeny than I would prefer. He speaks a lot of his words, a lot of his lyrics when he should be singing them. He's got a very kind of singing delivery to his stuff, which in a way works. I mean, it works for the character of Sweeny Todd, because Sweeny Todd is supposed to be this very controlled man who only occasionally lets his anger get the best of him. But the thing is that it's not only is it Johnny Depp's performance, but it's also Tim Burton's directing. And Tim Burton tends to have the people in his movies. He's actually a little bit like M. Night Shyamalan in this way. He has the people in his movies be very even keel. At least that's what he's gone towards later in his later movies. I'm thinking more along the lines of like Alice in Wonderland and a number of the other films that he's made, whose the names escape me right now, unfortunately. But Todd doesn't. He's got when Johnny Depp does the performance, he's got the controlled aspect down, but he doesn't let loose in the way that I feel that Sweeny is supposed to. But anyways, this is just my opinion. And speaking of my opinion, since these shows have started to be put up onto YouTube in the form of podcasts and also put up onto our Bandcamp page, which is a new thing that we now have, bandcamp.com, search for Griffin Radio. The amount of music that we've gotten from independent artists that's on there is honestly kind of staggering, considering the short amount of time that we've had it up. But because this is being put out in those places, we now have to include this at the beginning of our speaking shows. The views, comments, and opinions expressed on this show are those of individuals and not necessarily shared by Griffin Radio, the Media Communications Department, Grossmont College, or the Grossmont-Cuyamaca Community College District. There. This CYA moment was brought to you by DJ Eric. So we are going to get into the show now, and I have to honestly say, again, this is going to be the one show that I have prepared for the absolute least, because it has been so long since I've listened to the movie soundtrack. I am honestly not sure how the opening title is going to play out. If it's just going to be instrumental, or if it's going to be, or if it also includes lyrics. The biggest problem with doing the movie version is that so many of the best songs are going to be cut out because they didn't include that as a framing device. Like, for instance, last week in Into the Woods, there was the narrator, and there were the framing devices throughout the show of the characters kind of monologuing. They were soliloquying, but they were doing it together. I'm not 100% sure what that's called. But they were essentially singing monologues at different places around the stage, but at the same time. They were singing the same song, and they were, talking about where their situation was. They were essentially like making sure everybody was keeping up with the story. It's like, this is happening now, and now this is happening now, and now this is happening now. And in Sweeny Todd, there's a similar device. The chorus on stage has this song that runs throughout the whole show called The Ballad of Sweeny Todd, which is, it is a great framing device. It kind of documents and illustrates Todd's descent into madness and his descent into the pain that he is causing and that he has felt, and the pain that he feels that he can't get out of. But that's not in the movie version. So unfortunately, we are left with just the music, which is beautiful, but it's for a fan of the musical, it's a little lacking. So I'm going to be quiet now, and I'm going to put out the opening title of the Sweeny Todd film. And I would like to remind people that if there is a moment where, I think there's only one in this show, I'm fairly certain there's only one in this show, but if there's a moment where an expletive comes up, I will have to lower the volume very quickly and bring it back up. So if the sound cuts out suddenly, it's not a problem with the recording or with the transmission. It is simply your humble DJ attempting to abide to FCC guidelines. So sit back and enjoy. unfortunately, seems like the single swear word that is in the next song was enough to get it sliced out. Shall have to remember that for the future. The things that I need to leave out when I do my reviews or when I do my evaluations of CDs. But the song that was left out there was the introduction song. It was called "No Place Like London," and it's Johnny Depp and the man who plays Anthony, who's named Jamie Campbell Bower. Not sure if he's been in anything else. Probably. Britain is a very small place in the acting community. It's one of the reasons that you see so many actors doing so many different things, why you can basically pick out everybody who was in the Harry Potter movies in any episode of Doctor Who or Sherlock or any other popular series that goes on over there. But anyways, in that song, we were introduced to both Anthony and Sweeny Todd. And Anthony is a young, bright-eyed boy, just come back from a long around-the-world trip. He is a sailor. He was not traveling on a pleasure cruise. He's a working man, but he's also incredibly handsome and blonde-haired and blue-eyed. And as a friend of mine back in high school called him, he is the target tenor for the show. And Sweeny is the baritone. And also, to work a little blue at the moment, that same friend had a saying. He was a baritone, by the way. Had a saying that the tenors are the ones that get the love interest on stage, but the baritones are the ones that take them home after the show. Not sure how accurate that is, but he seemed to hold true to it. Anyways, Anthony and Todd come out of a ship, and they're both singing about their travels and about everything that has happened to them. And Anthony is so happy to be back home and back in London, and Todd is angry and sullen and depressed. And here we find out that Todd is from London, and he's come back here after a long time, and that Anthony saved him from drowning in the sea off the coast of Australia. And it was kind of odd, but Anthony, being the good-hearted soul that he is, made no questions about it and has watched out for Mr. Todd during their trip back. And this is one of the instances where the lyricism of Sondheim's work is... I'm so sad that I'm the one that has to be conveying this, but the lines here are... Anthony, as he's coming off the boat, "I've sailed the world, beheld its wonders, from the Dardanelles to the mountains of Peru, but there's no place like London." And then Todd speaks over that at the end. He says, there's no place like London. So they're saying the last line in unison. And then Sweeny goes off on his own and begins to talk about how awful London is by saying there's a hole in the world like a great black pit, and the vermin of the world inhabit it, and its mortals aren't worth what a pig could spit, and it goes by the name of London. At the top of the hole sit the privileged few, making mock of the vermin in the lower zoo, turning beauty into filth and greed. I too. And then he continues and continues. And I apologize, I will not go into just reciting the songs that are not included in the soundtrack. But here we find that the thing that angers Todd the most about London is a story that he conveys, a story about a barber and his wife, and the barber's wife caught the attention of a evil judge, described as a pious vulture of the law, who got the barber convicted of trumped up charges and sent away, and then the wife basically just waited for the wife to fall into his clutches. And then at the end, once Todd is done relaying this story, Anthony asks, "Did the lady succumb? Did she submit to the man?" And Sweeny, looking off into the distance, says, "Well, that was so many years ago, I doubt that anyone would know." And you can tell, obviously, from the beginning, he's speaking of himself. The mournfulness that he puts into the words, you can tell that he's telling Anthony his story. And then Anthony asks him, "Will I see you again?" And Sweeny tells him, well, if you might find me if you like, check around Fleet Street. And then we see Todd moving through the streets of Victorian London, heading towards Fleet Street and the place where his barber shop used to be, which was over a pie shop. And the baker of the pies is an interesting woman, to say the least.
A customer. Wait, where's your rush? Where's your hurry? You gave me such a fright, I thought you was a ghost. Half a minute, can't you sit? Sit you down, sit. All I meant is that I haven't seen a customer for weeks. Did you come in for a pie, sir? Do forgive me if me head's a little vague. What was that? But you think we had the plague? From the way that people keep avoiding? No, you don't. Heaven knows I try, sir. But there's no one comes and even to inhale. Right you are, so would you like a drop of ale? Mind you, I can hardly blame them. These are probably the worst pies in London. I know nobody cares to take them. I should know, I make them, but good no, the worst pies in London. Even that's polite, the worst pies in London. If you dare to take a bite, is that just disgusting? You have to concede it. It's nothing but crusting. You drink this, you need it. The worst pies in London. And no wonder with the price of meat what it is when you get it. Never thought I'd live to see the day. Many think it was a treat finding poor animals what are dying in the street. Mrs. Mooney has a pie shop, does her business, but I noticed something weird. Lately all her neighbours' cats had disappeared. Have to hand it to her, what a cause, enterprise. Popping pussies into pies wouldn't do in my shop. Just the thought of it's enough to make you sick. And I'm telling you, them pussycats is quick. No denying times is hard, so even harder than the worst pies in London. Only Lord and nothing more, is that just revolting or greasy and gritty? It looks like it's molting and tastes like, well, pity a woman alone with limited wind and the worst pies in London. Ah, sir, times is hard. Times is hard.
You got room over the shop, haven't you? Times is so hard once you rent it out.
People think it's haunted.
Haunted?
Yeah. And who's to say they're wrong? You see, years ago, something happened up there. Something not very nice. There was a barber and his wife, and he was beautiful, a proper artist with a knife, but they transported him for life, and he was beautiful. Barker, his name was. Benjamin Barker.
What was his crime?
Foolishness. He had this wife, you see, pretty little thing, silly little nit, had a chance for the moon on a string. Poor thing, poor thing. There was this judge, you see, wanted her like mad. Every day sent her a flower, but did she come down from her tower? Sat up there and sobbed by the hour. Oh, but there was worse yet to come, poor thing. The beadle calls on her all polite. Poor thing, poor thing. The judge, he tells her, is all contrite. He blames himself for her dreadful plight. She must come straight to his house tonight. Poor thing, poor thing. Of course, when when she goes there, poor thing, they're having this ball all in masks. There's no one she knows there, poor dear, poor thing. She wanders tormented and drinks, poor thing. The judge has repented, she thinks, poor thing. Oh, where is Judge Turpin, she asks. He was there all right, and they not so contrite. She wasn't no match for such craft, you see, and everyone thought it so droll. They figured she had to be daft, you see, so all of them stood there and laughed, you see. Poor soul, poor thing.
No! Would no one have mercy on her?
So it is you, Benjamin Parker.
No. No Parker. That man is dead. It's Todd now. Sweeny Todd. And he will have his revenge.
Indeed he will. A couple of songs combined into one into the other. Again, like most of Sondheim's shows, this one is fairly music heavy, so you don't have to. So a lot of the story is portrayed through the lyrics. But one of the things that we missed out on by not having London in the mix was in London when Sweeny is singing about his history and he sings about the barber and his wife. He obviously talks about the beauty of the wife because she's the one that he's in love with. And what you don't see is the parallel in music and in lyrics between that and the first part of Mrs. Lovett singing Poor Thing, where she's singing about the barber and his wife, and she talks about the beauty of the barber. You know, how he was an artist with a knife. And then it goes into talking about, the wife, after he was taken away, she just sat up in the apartment. She didn't do anything, like a princess in her tower, shows her scorn for the woman, despite the fact that she was clearly being, fairly badly treated and abused. But Sweeny Todd has figured out the person that he is going to engage as his assistant in this scenario, because he needs to have somebody who can watch his back. He needs to have somebody who can help him out with what he's doing. And obviously, with how fascinated Mrs. Lovett is with him, she is tripping over herself to do so. And a couple of little anecdotal things that I think are just kind of hilarious. In the stage production, the original stage production that I saw of, the tape of the original stage production that I saw of Sweeny Todd. Todd was being played by George Bernard Shaw, who was the guy that originated the role on Broadway, but he was coming back for a revival, and his Mrs. Lovett was Angela Lansbury, Mrs. Potts. And it was a great show. It was amazing. But the thing was, when Angela's costume was first being made up for the show, and she was like in this, she was in the apron and the dress and everything, the stage manager looked at her as she was about ready to go out for the first performance, and he looked at her and was like, "You are not dirty enough. You don't look filthy enough." And she says, "Well, what are we going to do? I have to go on." Apparently, somebody at the on the crew had grabbed some lasagna from a nearby deli for dinner that night, and the stage manager grabbed the lasagna and slapped it right into the front of her apron. And so she had to perform the entire show with this smell of congealing, going rancid Italian food stuck to the front of her apron. She honestly thought that she was going to puke during the entire first part of the show. I personally find that hilarious. But anyways, getting back to the show, we have Johnny Depp and Helena Bonham Carter as Lovett and Todd. not respectively, but reversed respectively, obviously, because, yeah. Anyways, after having realized who her new boarder, or who the man in her shop is, and what it is that he's planning to do, she decides she's going to show him exactly what she's done for him all these years.
These are my friends. See how they glisten. See this one shine. How he smiles in the light. My friend, my faithful friend. Speak to me, friend. Whisper, I'll listen. I know, you've been locked out of sight all these years, like me, my friend. Well, I've come home to find you waiting. Home, and we're together, and we'll do wonders, won't we? You there, my friend.
I'm your friend too.
Come, let me hold
If
you
you only knew,
now.
Mr. Todd,
With a sigh,
Mr.
you
Todd,
grow
you're
warm in my hand, my friend, my clever
always had a
friend.
fondness for you, I did.
Rest now, my friends.
Never you
Soon
fear,
I'll
Mr. Todd.
unfold you.
You can move in
Soon
here,
you'll
Mr.
know
Todd.
splendors you never have dreamed all your days. My lucky friend, till now your shine was merely
Silver's
silver.
good enough for me.
Friends, you shall drip rubies. You'll soon drip precious rubies. At last, my arm is complete again.
And I apologize for dropping, or for putting that in. I wasn't sure, like I said, if there had been dialogue at the beginning of that one, like it was in some of the other ones. What happens at the beginning or right before that song is, Lovett brings Todd upstairs to the rooms that he used to have, and shows him. Not only has she kept his shop kind of in the same condition, but she's also left his razors, a set of silver-chased barber's razors that he used, and she never sold them. And so My Friends was all about him grabbing these, or taking these razors up for the first time. knowing that it's kind of obvious, what the statement of you'll soon drip rubies, you'll soon drip precious rubies is really means. But through all this, we've seen Todd come back in. We've seen him reconnect with Mrs. Lovett, and we've heard the story about what happened to him. But there's a character that's been mentioned that we're not 100% sure what's happened to so far, and that is Benjamin Barker and his wife's daughter. And no one really has, they haven't said what happened to her, other than that she was taken by the judge. And now we finally get to see what her life is like. Here we can clearly tell that Joanna's life has not been good since she's been taken in as a ward by the judge. She lives in the house, and she has small songbirds that she keeps, but she doesn't understand how they can be happy, how they can sing at all inside of their captivity, and she wants them to teach her how to take joy in being confined, to being limited, because what she really wants to do is be free. And again, I think that's kind of an interesting callback to, or possibly call forward, because Todd came out a few years about 7 years before Into the Woods. So it's interesting that he was touching on this theme even back then, and essentially, takes it and expands upon it when he finally gets to do Into the Woods. But there's it's an interesting foreshadowing for another one of his most famous shows. And now we have something that seems like a little bit of a non sequitur, but I promise will become much more important later on.
Mum, could you tell me whose house this is?
That's the great Judge Turpin's house, that is.
And the young lady who resides there?
Oh, that's Joanna. His pretty little ward. Keeps her snug, he does, all locked up. So don't you go trespassing there. Or it's a good whipping for you. Or any other young man with mischief on his mind. How would you like a little muff, dear? A little jig, a little bounce around the bush? Would you like to push me parsley? It looks to me, dear, like you've got plenty there to push.
The old beggar woman will show up a number of other times in this show, but for right now she's hanging out outside of Judge Turpin's house and ran into Anthony as he was wandering the streets there. And he noticed her, and he noticed Joanna sitting up in the window. And clearly, as I said, target tenor. Tenors get the girl on stage. Therefore, Anthony, of course, has to fall in love with Joanna.
I feel you, Joanna. I feel you. I was half convinced I'd waken, satisfied enough to dream you. Happily I was mistaken, Joanna. I'll steal Joanna, I'll steal you. Do they think that walls can hide you? Even now I'm at your window. I am in the dark beside you, buried sweetly in your yellow hair.
And now the players have met. About the only one that we haven't really seen on stage yet, at least in song yet, is Judge Turpin, but he's coming up fairly quickly here. Now that the lovers have met and have decided that they are going to be together no matter what, as they always do in shows like this, we have to get back to the main plot. Lovett and Todd are walking around through the markets of London trying to figure out exactly what they can do to attract the attention of Beetle Bamford, who is the who is the hench person of Judge Turpin, who is played by, I forget his name, but the same guy that plays Peter Pettigrew in the Harry Potter movies. So basically, think weasel-faced little guy. And as they're walking around through the streets, following along his routes and seeing exactly what it is that he's doing and trying to figure out what they can do to attract his attention in a positive way, they happen upon somebody who they feel that they can use in their plan.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Do you wake every morning in shame and despair to discover your pillow is covered with hair? Or not to be there? Well, ladies and gentlemen, from now on you can wake and at ease. You need never again have a worry or care. I will show you a miracle marvelous rare. Gentlemen, you are about to see something will rose from the dead. On the top of my head, 'twas Pirelli's miracle elixir that
just what did the trick, sir? True, sir, true. Was it quick, sir? Did it in a tick, sir? Just like an elixir ought to do. How about a bottle, mister? Only costs a penny, guaranteed. Does Pirelli stimulate the growth, sir? You can have my oath, sir, 'tis unique. Rub 'em in it, stimulating in it. Soon you'll have to thin it once a week.
Pardon me, man, what's that awful stench?
I'll be standing near an open trench.
I am Adolfo Pirelli, the king of the barbers, the barber of kings. Hey, buongiorno, good day. I blow you a kiss. And I, the so famous Pirelli, I wish to know who has the nerve to say, my elixir is peace. Who says this?
I do. I'm Mr. Sweeny Todd of Fleet Street. I have opened a bottle of Pirelli's elixir, and I say to you that it is nothing but an errant fraud concocted from piss and ink. And furthermore, Signor, I have serviced no kings. Yet I wager that I can shave a cheek with 10 times more dexterity than any street mountebank.
You hear this foolish man? Now, please, you will see how he will regret the years of folly.
Who's for a free shave? Will Beadle Bamford be the judge?
Glad, as always, to oblige my friends and neighbours. The fastest, smoothest shave is the winner.
Now, signorini, signori, we mix at the lather, but first you gather around, signorini, signori. You look in a man who have had the glory to serve at the Pope, Mr. Sweeny. Whoever, I beg your pardon, you'll probably say it was only a cardinal. Nope, it was the Pope. To shave the face, to cut the hair, required a grace, required a flair. For if you slip, you nick the skin, you clip the chin, you rip the lip a bit beyond the repair. To shave the face, or even a part, without it a smart, require the heart, not just the flash. It take a panache, it take the passion for the art. To shave the face, to trim the beard, to make the bristle clean like a whistle. This is from early infancy the talent give to me, by God. He take the skill, he take the brains, he take the will. To take the pants, he take the pace, he take the
The winner is Todd.
And that was Sacha Baron Cohen as Adolfo Pirelli, the King of Barber and the Barber of Kings, the biggest braggart in the entire show, which in a way is saying something considering that he's up against Todd and the judge. But yeah, they managed to embarrass the man and also to attract the attention of Beadle Bamford, and let him know afterwards that if he or his patron in the legal system would ever require a shave, they can come by and check out his establishment. And Bamford responds that of course he will do so because, clearly this man is an amazing barber. However, it turns out it's going to take a little while longer than Todd was anticipating.
It's not much of a chair, but it'll do. Was my poor Albert's chair. Sitting all day long he did. Off his leg give out with the gout.
Why doesn't the beetle come? Before the week is out. That's what he said.
Oh, he says the week's out. It's only Tuesday. Easy now, hush, love, hush. Don't distress yourself, what's your rush? Keep your thoughts nice and lush. Wait. Hush, love, hush. Think it through. Once it bubbles, then what's to do? Watch it close, let it brew. Wait. I've been thinking flowers, maybe daisies, to brighten up the room. Don't you think some flowers, pretty daisies, might relieve the gloom? Oh, wait. Love, wait.
And the judge, when do we get to him?
Aren't you thinking nothing else? Always brooding away on your wrongs. What happened, heaven knows how many years ago. Slow, love, slow. Time so fast. Now goes quickly. See, now it's past. Soon will come. Soon will last. Wait. Don't you know, silly man, half the fun is to plan the plan. All good things come to those who can wait. Gillyflowers maybe, instead of daisies. I don't know though, what do you think?
And here we see that Lovett is already starting to plan the life after Todd has gotten his revenge, trying to steer him away from that. I don't think out of any altruistic reason, simply because she wants him. She's doing it for her own selfishness. She doesn't want him to be taken away. She doesn't want to lose him to his vengeance, so she's going to try to convince him, or she's going to try to steer him into other avenues. It's not really going to work. However, we then find out that the judge is a little bit more, even more disturbing than we originally thought. I mean, at first it was pretty bad. He'd gotten a guy sent to prison. He'd essentially drugged that man's wife and then forced himself on her. All incredibly awful things. But then we find out that he has taken in Joanna specifically for the purpose of raising her and turning her into his new child bride, which fortunately Sondheim portrays this just about as disgustingly and skeevily as possible. Although he shows both the judge and the judge's henchmen to be remarkably deaf in regards to what it is that Joanna is upset about.
I have news for you, my friend. In order to shield her from the evils of this world, I have decided to marry my dear Joanna.
Oh, sir, happy news indeed.
Strange, though. When I offered myself to her, she showed a certain reluctance.
Excuse me, my lord, may I request, my lord, permission, my lord, to speak? Forgive me if I suggest, my lord, you're looking less than your best, my lord. There's powder upon your vest, my lord, and stubble upon your cheek. And ladies, my lord, are weak.
Stubble, you say? Perhaps I am a little over-hasty in the mornings.
Fret not though, my lord, I know a place, my lord, a barber, my lord, of skill. Thus armed with a shaven face, my lord, some eau de cologne to grace, my lord, and must to enhance the chase, my lord, you'll dazzle the girl until she bows to your every will.
Barber, take me to him.
Yeah. The only thing that's keeping you from or that's keeping your child bride from really wanting to be with you is the fact that you've got stubble and you're not as kempt as you might have been. Had you made yourself completely made up and visited the barber beforehand, she would have fallen all over you. Yeah, Turpin, that is exactly what's wrong. However, Todd gets his wish. He gets the judge in his chair, and he decides to take the advice of Mrs. Lovett, and he decides to wait and savor it.
Mr. Todd?
At your service. An honor to receive your patronage, my lord.
You know me, sir?
Who in this wide world does not know the great Judge Turpin? What may I do for you today, sir? Stylish trimming of the hair, soothing skin massage. Sit, sir. Sit.
You see, sir, a man infatuated with love, her ardent and eager slave. So fetch the pomade and pumice stone, and lend me a more seductive tone, a sprinkling perhaps of French cologne. But first, sir, I think a shave.
The closest I ever gave.
In a merry mood today, Mr. Todd?
'Tis your delight, sir, catching fire from one man to the next.
'Tis true, sir, love can still inspire the blood to pound the heart leap higher. What more can man require than love, sir?
More than love, sir.
What's that?
Women.
Ah, yes, women.
Pretty women.
And if we were, you'll be commended, sir.
My lord. And who may yet be said is your intended, sir?
My ward. And pretty as he wears me.
Pretty as a mother.
What was that?
Pretty women. Fascinating. Sipping coffee, dancing, pretty women are a wonder. Pretty women sitting in the window or standing on the stair. Something in them cheers the air. Pretty women
silhouetted,
stay within you,
glancing,
stay forever,
breathing lightly.
Pretty women, pretty women. blowing out the candles, oh, coming out the heaven. Even when they leave you and vanish, they somehow can still remain there with our pretty women at the mirror. Garden, left and righty, flower picking, weather watching how they make a man sing for heaven as you're living. Pretty women, sir, pretty women, yes, pretty women, oh, pretty women, pretty women.
And right there at the end, right as Todd is about to take that moment, he's about to slash the throat of the man who imprisoned him, the man who took his wife, the man who killed his wife, the man who stole his daughter away, who stole every aspect of his life away, right as he is about to draw the knife across the throat. Anthony bursts in. He bursts into Todd's shop, screaming about how he's going to steal Joanna away from her horrible, horrible keeper and her horrible master. And Turpin turns to him and yells, "Well, now I see the type of company that you keep, Mr. Todd. I will never darken your doorstep again. And you, young man, I will make sure that she is sent away someplace that the likes of you can never see her." And then he storms out. And Todd hurls Anthony from the shop and just begins a rage the likes of which have never truly been seen. And in that rage, he realizes exactly what it is he's going to have to do.
Mr. Todd, you have to help me. Mr. Todd, please. Out. Mr. Todd! Out!
All this shouting and running about, what's happened?
I had him! His throat was bare beneath my hand. No, I had him! His throat was there and he'll never come again.
Easy now, hush, love, hush. I keep telling you.
When?
What's your
Why
rush?
did I wait? You told me to wait. Now he'll never come again. There's a hole in the world like a great black pit, and it's filled with people who are filled with shit, and the vermin of the world inhabit it. But not for long. They all deserve to die. Tell you why, Mrs. Lovett, tell you why. Because in all of the whole human race, Mrs. Lovett, there are two kinds of men and only two. There's the one staying put in his proper place, and the one with his foot in the other one's face. Look at me, Mrs. Lovett, look at you. No, we all deserve to die. Even you, Mrs. Lovett, even I. Because the lives of the wicked should be made brief. For the rest of us, death will be a relief. We all deserve to die. And I'll never see Joanna. No, I'll never hug my girl to me. Finished! All right, you, sir, how about a shave? Come and visit your good friend Sweeny. You, sir, too, sir, welcome to the grave. I will have vengeance. I will have salvation. Who, sir? You, sir? No one's in the chair. Come on, come on. Sweeney's waiting. I want you, bleeders. You, sir? Anybody? Gentlemen, now don't be shy. Not one man, no, nor 10 men, nor 100 can assuage me. I will have you. And I will get him back, even as he gloats. In the meantime, I'll practice on less honourable throats. And my Lucy lies in ashes, and I'll never see my
See, it's this song that I feel more than any other one kind of showcases the failings that Johnny Depp has in this performance. That point at the end, his voice was just not up to that. His voice was not up to that, was not up to those notes, was not up to trying to hit that level that he was going for. But yes, he has decided that he's going to just kill everyone. He's going to kill as many people as possible until he can finally get his hands back on Judge Turpin. Now, the thing that I missed, and I apologize for this, in between the judge deciding that he was going to come and get his shave and actually showing up and get the shave, is that Adolfo Pirelli decided to show up and essentially blackmail Todd, because he reveals that he is not much like Todd, is not Adolfo Pirelli. He is in fact a young Irish boy, or he was a young Irish boy. He's an adult Irish man now, but back when he was a young Irish boy, he worked as a shop sweep for a barber named Benjamin Barker, who he recognized by his silver chased razors that he saw. And he decides that he's going to be blackmailing Barker for half of his wages up until, whenever he decides not to. And Sweeny, upon hearing this, decides, yeah, no, that's not the way things are gonna go. And so slices his throat right before the judge shows up and puts his body into a steamer trunk in his room. And after this, after that happens, obviously we had Ladies and Their Sensibilities and we had Pretty Women and then The Epiphany. But now Mrs. Lovett and Sweeney Todd have this body in the building that they have to deal with. They also have this young boy that they have to deal with, who was, the little Barker for Pirelli, who is now drunk downstairs. Apparently the kid likes his gin. And they have to figure out what exactly it is that they're going to do. And this leads to the greatest song in the whole show. Literally the best, the one that is quoted by the most people. And from this show, from any show, my favorite song.
That's all very well, but what are we going to do about him?
Later on, when it's dark, we'll take it to some secret place and bury it.
Oh, yeah. Of course we could do that. Don't suppose he's got any relatives going to come poking you looking for him? Seems a downright shame.
Shame?
Seems an awful waste. Such a nice plump frame. What's his name? Has, nor he can't be traced. Business needs a lift, debts to be erased. Think of it as thrift, as a gift, if you get my drift. Seems an awful waste. I mean, with the price of meat, what it is, when you get it, if you get it.
Ah.
Good, you got it. Take, for instance, Mrs. Mooney and a pie shop. Business never better, using only pussycats and toast. Now a pussy's good for maybe 6 or 7 at the most. And I'm sure they can't compare as far as taste.
Mrs. Lovett, what a charming notion,
Well,
eminently
it does
practical
seem
yet
a
appropriate as always. Mrs. Lovett, how I've lived without you all these years, I'll never know.
Think
How
about it,
delectable.
lots of other gentlemen are soon becoming
Also
for a shame.
undetectable.
Why they think
How
of
choice,
all
how
that
rare.
pies.
For what's the sound of the world out there?
What, Mr. Todd, what is that sound?
Those crunching noises pervading the air.
Yes, Mr. Todd, yes, all around.
It's man devouring man, my dear.
Then who are we to deny it in here?
These are desperate times, Mrs. Lovett. Desperate measures are called for.
Here we are, hot out of the oven.
What is that?
It's priest, have a little priest.
Is it really good?
So it's too good, at least. Then again, they don't commit sins of the flesh, so it's pretty fresh.
Awful lot of fat.
Only where it's at.
Haven't you got poet or something like that?
Now you see the trouble with poet is how do you know it's deceased? Try the priest. Lawyer's rather nice.
If it's for a price.
Order something else though to follow, since no one should swallow it twice.
Anything that's lean?
Well then, if you're British and loyal, you might enjoy Royal Marine. Anywhere it's clean, though of course it tastes of wherever it's been.
Is that squire on the fire?
Mercy no, so look closer, you'll notice it's grosser.
Looks thicker, more like vicar.
No, it has to be grosser, it's green.
The history of the world, my love.
Save a lot of graves, do a lot of relatives' favours.
Is those below serving those up above?
Everybody shaves, so there should be plenty of flavours.
How gratifying for once to know that those above will serve those down below. What is that?
It's fop, finest in the shop. Or we have some shepherd's pie peppered with actual shepherd on top. And I just begun. Is the politician so oily? It's served with a doily. Have one.
Put it on a bun, where you never know if it's going to run.
Fry the fryer, fry destroyer.
No, the clergy is really too coarse and too merely.
The nectar, it's compactor.
Ah, but always arrives overdone. I'll come again when you have judge on the menu. Have charity towards the world, my pet.
Yes, yes, I know, my love.
We'll take the customers that we can get.
Highborn and low, my love.
We'll not discriminate great from small. No, we'll serve anyone,
We'll
meaning
serve
anyone, and to anyone at all.
And here they decide to embark on their murderous crusade. It's just a delightful way to end out the first act. Now, as the second act opens, there's the way that the movie decides to do this is very interesting. It opens a few months later. Miss Lovett's pie shop has become much more popular. There's customers out the door every night because they have so many good, fresh, meaty pies that they're selling to people. And of course, the barbershop above is turning a brisk trade. Not a lot of repeat customers, though, for some reason. I'll have to look into that. Not sure why that is. But this part of the show opens up with both Todd and Anthony making their confessions, their testimonials to Joanna. For Todd, he seems to be coming to peace. He's settling into his murderous groove and finding that he actually enjoys it, whereas Anthony is traipsing through the streets of London trying to find the asylum that Judge Turpin has secreted Joanna away in. And the melding of their songs is interesting as one longs for her and the other is finally letting her go.
I feel you, Joanna. I feel you think that walls can hide you? Even now I'm at your window. I am in the dark beside you, buried sweetly in your yellow hair, Joanna. And are you beautiful and pale with yellow hair like her? I'd want you beautiful and pale the way I've dreamed you were, Joanna. And if you're beautiful, what then with yellow hair like wheat? I think we shall not meet again, my little dove, my sweet Joanna. I'll steal you, Joanna. Goodbye, Joanna. You're gone and yet you're mine. I'm fine, Joanna. Joanna.
Sign of the devil, say on fire. Witch, witch, smell it, sir, an evil smell. Every night at the Vespers bell, smoke that comes from the mouth of hell. Say on fire, say on fire. Mischief, mischief, mischief.
And if I never hear your voice, my turtle dove, my dear, I still have reason to rejoice. The way ahead is clear, Joanna. I feel. And in that darkness when I'm blind with what I can't forget, Joanna. It's always morning in my mind, my little lamb, my pet, Joanna. You stay, Joanna, the way I've dreamed you are. Oh, look, Joanna, a star. Buried sweetly in your yellow hair, a shooting star.
Somebody look up there. Didn't I tell you smell that air? Say on fire. Quick, sir, run and tell all of the witches spell. There it is, the unholy spell. Tell it to the Greenland police as well. Tell them, help, please. Say on fire. Say on fire. Mischief, mischief.
And though I'll think of you, I guess, until the day I die, I think I miss you less and less as every day goes by, Joanna. And you'd be beautiful and pale and look too much like her. If only angels could prevail, we'd be the way we were, Joanna.
I feel you, Joanna.
Wake up, Joanna. Another bright red day. We learn, Joanna, to say
And it's worth noting that during this song, virtually every time that Todd is the one that's on screen, or in the stage show that he's the one that's singing, he's cutting someone's throat. Each time he's slicing someone's throat, dumping them down a chute that he has had built in the barbershop and the bakery specifically for this purpose, and dropping them down into the underground of London so that the butchering can commence. And not content to look at what it is that's going on with Todd, but we also need to see what's going on with Mrs. Lovett and exactly how she's adapting to her new normal. And so we get that she's actually enjoying herself.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Are your nostrils a quiver and tingling as well at that delicate, luscious, ambrosial smell? Yes, they are, I can tell. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that aroma enriching the breeze is like nothing compared to its succulent sauce, as the gourmets among you will tell you, of course. Ladies and gentlemen, you can't imagine the rapture in store. Just inside of this door, there you'll sample Mrs. Lovett's meat pies, savoury and sweet pies, as you'll see. You who eat pies, Mrs. Lovett's meat pies, conjure up the treat pies used to be.
Toby, coming. Elder, what, Mum? Quick now. Nice to see you, dearie. How have you been keeping? Call me Bones is weary. Toby, one for the gentleman. Here the birdie's cheeping. Helps to keep it cheery. Toby, throw the old woman out. What's my secret? Frankly, dear, forgive my candor. Family secret, all to do with herbs. Things like being careful with your coriander. That's what makes the gravy grander. Eat them slow and feel the crust how thin and rolled it. Eat them slow, cause everyone's a prize. Eat them slow, cause that's the lot, and now we sold it. Come again tomorrow, hold it. Bless my eyes, fresh supplies. How about
Is
it,
that
dearie?
a
My
bite
hair in a
for freaking
twinkling just confirms me theory. Oh, her watch is over a steed and have an evening. Positively eerie. Toby, throw the old woman out!
In case you missed earlier, Toby was the young boy who was working for Pirelli that has now been adopted by Mrs. Lovett and Sweeny. And it seems like everything's going well for the inhabitants of the pie shop and barber. Todd is slaking his bloodlust by slicing the throats of random people who come in, as long as they don't come in with, other people. If other people are with them, then he just shaves them and sends them on their way, very grumpily. But he's enjoying himself. Mrs. Lovett is enjoying the money that she's making and the fact that she's got a reputation and the fact that she put her rival out of business. And Toby is enjoying learning how to make pies and being useful and being taken care of and not being beaten by a crazy Irishman pretending to be a crazy Italian. And things are just very good, but we see now that Todd is not enjoying himself as much as he lets on. He still longs for revenge, and Mrs. Lovett still wants him to try to forget about it.
Oh, Mr. Todd, I'm so happy I could eat you up, I really could. You know what I'd like to do, Mr. Todd? What I dreamed, if the business stays as good, where I'd really like to go in a year or so. Don't you want to know?
Of course.
Do you really want to know?
Yes, I do.
By the sea, Mr. Todd, that's the life I carve it. By the sea, Mr. Todd, oh, I know you'd love it. You and me, Mr. T, we could be alone in a house where we'd almost own down by the sea.
Anything you say.
Wouldn't that be smashing? Think how snug it'll be underneath our flannel when it's just you and me and the English Channel in our cosy retreat, kept on neat and tidy. We'll have jams over every Friday by the sea. Don't you love the weather by the sea? We'll grow old together by the seaside, oh, by the beautiful sea. It'll be so quiet, they'll all come by it, except a seagull. Oh, oh. We shouldn't try it, though, till it's legal for two. But a seaside wedding could be devised, me rumple bedding legitimised, me eyelids a flutter or turn into butter the moment I mutter I do. Down by the sea, married nice and proper, by the sea, bring along your chopper, to the seaside, oh, by the beautiful sea.
Clearly, Mrs. Lovett has a specific scenario in mind for what's going to happen at the end of this whole journey that she's on with her beloved. However, there's somebody else in the house who also seems to have their own idea of exactly what it is that's going on. And we find out now that Toby has, despite his young age, has got some very advanced thoughts about how it is he's supposed to be taking care of Mrs. Lovett. And also, he's not nearly as naive as the others think that he is.
Seems like the good Lord sent you for me.
No, love. I felt quite the same way.
Listen to me, please. You know there's nothing I wouldn't do for you. Say, if there was someone around. Someone bad. Only you didn't know it.
What is this? What are you talking about?
Nothing's gonna harm you, not while I'm around. Nothing's gonna harm you, no sir, not while I'm around. Demons are prowling everywhere nowadays. I'll send them howling, I don't care, I got ways. No one's gonna hurt you, no one's gonna dare. Others can desert you, not to worry, whistle, I'll be there. Demons will charm you with a smile for a while, but in time, nothing can harm you, not while I'm around. Not to worry, I may not be smart, but I ain't dumb. I can do it, put me to it, show me something I can overcome. Not to worry, Mum. Being close and being clever ain't like being true. I don't need to I will never hide a thing from you, like some.
Now, Toby dear, have we had enough of this foolish chatter? Here. How about I'll give you a nice, shiny new penny when you go and get us some toffees?
That's Signor Borelli's purse.
No, it's not. Just something Mr. T gave me for my birthday.
That proves it. We gotta go, Mum. We gotta find the beetle and get the law here.
Shush, Toby. Hush now, you won't go in anyway. You just sit here, nice and quiet, next to me. That's right.
Nothing's gonna harm you, not while I'm around. Nothing's gonna harm you, darling, not while I'm around.
Demons will charm you with a smile for a while, but in time, nothing's gonna harm you, not while I'm around.
And right about now is where everything is coming to a head. So, Antony has managed to find where it is in the city that Turpin sent Joanna to. He's found the asylum that she's locked up in. And he has gone to Todd in order to get help. Todd has told him that has basically said to him, where do you think that the wig makers get the hair for their wigs? Well, they get them from the asylums, of course, which was actually a practice at the time. And so sends him as a barber's apprentice, or a wig maker's apprentice, to the asylum, trains him up on exactly what it is he needs to know, and sends him there to ask for the particular shade of hair that Joanna has. At the same time, he writes to Judge Turpin and lets him know that his ward is going to be sprung by the villainous sailor who was attempting to steal her away, but that his ward is completely repentant for his action, or for her actions against him, and is now totally head over heels for the judge. Has realized exactly what it is that the judge was offering and how lucky she is to have it, and therefore is saying, come meet her at my shop. And therefore we see that everything is coming together. Everything is finally culminating on a single night. And now the story of that final night.
Toby, where are you, love? Where is he?
Nothing's gonna harm you, not while I'm around.
Toby? Toby?
Nothing's gonna harm you, darling, not while I'm around.
Toby?
Mr. Todd! You wait for him here. I'll return with the coach in less than half an hour. Don't worry.
recognize you. You're safe now.
Safe. So we ran away and then all our dreams come true.
I hope so.
I've never had dreams. Only nightmares.
Joanna, when we're free of this place, all the ghosts will go away.
No, Anthony. They never go away.
I'll be right back to you. Half an hour and we'll be free.
No good hiding, I saw you. Are you in there still, Beetle? Beetle, Beetle, dear Beetle!
Who are you? What are you doing here?
Evil it is, sir. The stink of evil from below, from her. She's the devil's wife. Beware her, sir. She with no pity in her heart. Hey, don't I know you, mister?
Mr. Todd?
Where is she? Below, Your Honour. With my neighbour. Thank heavens a sailor did not molest her. Thank heavens, too, she has seen the error of her ways.
She has?
Oh, yes. Your lesson was well learned. She speaks only of you, longing for forgiveness.
Then she shall have it. She'll be here soon, you say?
Yes.
Excellent, my friend.
How about a shave? Sit, sir. Sit.
Pretty women.
Pretty women, yes.
Joanna, Joanna.
Pretty women are a wonder. Pretty women,
What wonderful
pretty women, blowing out their candles, oh, combing out
their hair, and they leave. Even when they leave you and vanish, they somehow can still remain there with you. There. How seldom it is one meets a fellow spirit.
With fellow tastes. In women, at least.
Is that?
Years, no doubt, have changed me, sir. But then I suppose the face of a barber, the face of a prisoner in the dock, is not particularly memorable.
Benjamin Barker.
Benjamin Barker!
Rest now, my friend. Rest now forever. Sleep now the untroubled sleep of the angels.
Don't I know you? She said. You knew she lived.
I was only thinking of you.
to me?
No, not lied at all. No, I never lied. Said she took a poison, she did. Never said that she died. Poor thing, she lived, but it left her weak in the head. All she did for months was just lie there in bed. Should have been in hospital, wound up in bedlam instead. Poor thing, better you should think she was dead. Yes, I lied, 'cause I love you. I need twice the one she was. I love you. But that thing who cares why you like me.
Mrs. Lovett, you're a bloody wonder, eminently practical and yet appropriate as always. As you've said repeatedly, there's little point in dwelling on the past.
Do
No,
you mean
come
it?
here,
Everything
my
I
love.
did, I swear, I thought was only
Not a
for the
thing to
best.
fear,
Believe
my
me,
love. What's
can we
dead
still
is
be
dead. The
married?
history of the world, my pet,
Oh, Mr. Todd, leave it to me.
is learn forgiveness and try to
By the sea,
forget.
Mr. Todd, we'll become thick cozy. By the sea, Mr. Todd, where there's no one knows
And
it.
life is for the alive, my dear. So let's keep living it. Just keep living it. Really living it. There was a barber and his wife, and she was beautiful. A foolish barber and his wife, she was his reason and his life, and she was beautiful, and she was virtuous, and he was.
There was a lot happening there, and a little bit that got glossed over, so I'll see if I can summarize everything. Basically, Anthony and Joanna got to the barbershop before Turpin did, and Joanna hit herself, and there she saw that, or she hit herself in the shop, and there she saw the old beggar woman come in looking for her because she'd seen her be let in by Anthony. Todd came upon the old beggar woman and killed her before the judge showed up because he couldn't get her out of the place in time. After dumping her down the chute, Turpin came in. He killed Turpin, obviously. And then Joanna made a noise, and Todd grabbed her, realized that there was this young boy, because Anthony had dressed her up like a young sailor boy. There was this young boy in his shop who had just seen him kill 2 people, and therefore he needed to make it a third. And so he decided to try to kill her and shove her down the chute as well, but she managed to get away. Then he hears a scream from down below and runs down to find Mrs. Lovett trying to get Judge Turpin into the grinder, into the fire, trying to start the butchering process on him. And he's not completely dead yet, which, considering the fall that goes in that and down that chute, it's kind of amazing that he managed to live through that and getting his throat cut. But anyways, he's not dead yet. She's trying to get him into the fires, and then turns around and sees the old beggar woman, and that's where the revelation comes out that the old beggar woman is in fact Barker's wife, his wife that he thought was dead, and that Mrs. Lovett had kept that from him intentionally. And then he goes darker than normal, which is odd considering this show, and makes like he has completely forgiven Mrs. Lovett for her deception, and she is saying she wants to be with him, she wants to be his wife, she'd be a better wife than Lucy ever was. And so Todd grabs her and begins dancing her around the place, and then at the end of there, when he says that we should, let's keep living our lives, let's keep living it, really living it, he throws her into the fire and slams the door of the furnace shut. And then he goes back down to Lucy's body and holds her and sings the final notes of the show. And as he's singing, Toby, who has been locked down there since he noticed that Mrs. Lovett had Mr. Pirelli's purse and believed that, rightly believed that Todd had killed him and taken the purse, not knowing Mrs. Lovett's complicity in it, emerges from the shadows, sees the razor that Todd brought down when he ran from from the shop, and sees him sitting there helpless, and he draws the blade across Todd's throat. And at that point, the doors to the cellar break open, and Joanna, Anthony, and a bunch of constables burst in and see the horrific, grim scene that's before them. And depending on the show that you watch, there's a couple of different endings. One of them is just Toby sitting there looking up. One of them is Toby starting to begin the pie making process with the body of Barker, and explaining the whole thing to the police as they're there. But yeah, that's where it ends. And unfortunately, we do not get the final song of the show, which is a tragedy in my mind. But anyways, that was the month of Sondheim. Close it out with his most popular show, probably my favorite show of his, which has my single favorite song in all of musicals in it. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I didn't prattle on too much for people who have been tuning in to hear. And unfortunately, I am not going to be here next week. My wife and I are going out of town on a trip. But the following week, I do have some plans for October, and we'll see if I manage to follow through with them. So stick around for that. Coming up next, we've got Only One by Ariana Grande, Love You Like a Love Song by Selena Gomez, Adorned by Miguel, One Call Away by Charlie Puth, and One Thing by One Direction. So if any of that sounds great to you, stick around. You're listening to Griffin Radio.